Hello and welcome to this tutorial for Excel users. In this tutorial we're going to start looking at functions in Excel, and functions are basically built-in calculations that are designed to make your life easier and save you some time. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is add some new labels to this spreadsheet, and this is the spreadsheet we've been creating throughout the previous two videos. And I'm going to click into cell A12 first of all and type in there the word total, and I'll also between brackets put in there the word sum, because sum is the name of the function we'll be using to create the total. I'll press the enter key and the next function we'll be looking at will be average. Enter key again, and we'll also be looking at the functions to create max and min, maximum and minimum values. And finally we'll be looking at the count function. I'm going to move to cell B12 now, which is where the result for the first sum function will go, and I'm going to create this function manually first of all, so you'll see how the process works. Like any calculation in Excel, the first thing you need to do is press equals on the keyboard, and then you type out the name of the function. And the name of the function in this case is sum, so simply type out sum, and when I do that you'll notice that Excel recognizes that I'm wanting to create a function because it's given me a list of functions that I might want to select. I'm going to ignore that list for now, and instead I'm going to type an open bracket or open parentheses, and you'll see there Excel has now given me an indication of the type of things it wants to see. So you see number 1, number 2. You can put multiple ranges into a sum function, but we're going to keep it nice and simple for this one and use a single range. The next thing I'm going to do is click on the first value that I want to include in the function. And the first value here is the first number in the list, the number in cell B4. So if I click on that, you'll see the cell reference goes in to the function now. I then type a colon, and that will separate the first part of the function from the second, as you will see. So all I need to do now is simply tell Excel where my list of numbers ends. So I click on the final number, and so you can see there the function B4 colon B10. So in other words, I'm telling Excel to start in cell B4 and then add up all the numbers from B4 to the final cell, which in this case is B10. I'm then going to close that bracket like so, and there is my completed function. I can then either press the enter key, or in this case I'm just going to click on that tick, as you've seen before, that simply accepts the calculation. Same as pressing the enter key basically, except you don't move down to the next row. And you'll see the result in cell B12, and as you know by now, the formula bar will show you the calculation, or in this case the function, behind the result. I'm going to create another sum function now in cell C12, and I'll do it in a similar way, but this time I'll use a different method to select the range. So equals again on the keyboard, type sum so that Excel knows we're creating a sum function, open bracket or parentheses, and this time I'm going to click and drag to select the range. So start in C4, click and drag down to cell C10 in this case, release the mouse button, you can see the range in the function has automatically entered, close the bracket, and again I'll just click on that tick to accept, and you can see again the result in cell C12, and the formula or function appears in the formula bar. And for my final sum calculation, I'll click into cell D12, and this time I'm going to use the Autosum button, but also show you how things might not go quite the way you expect. So if I come across to the right hand side of the Home tab on the editing section, and you'll see there the Autosum button, and if I just click on that you'll see what happens. So Excel is just making a guess about what it thinks I want to be included in the function. In this case it happens to be wrong, but it's not a problem because I can fix it quite easily. All I need to do here is simply reselect the range of numbers like so by clicking and dragging, as you saw before. So once I've got the correct range selected, I can double check in the function to make sure I've got the beginning and ending cells correct, and then again just click on that tick to accept. Now if you want to double check which cells are included in a function, it's simply a matter of double clicking on the cell, and you'll see a boundary box appear to show you which cells have been included. You can also modify that list by putting the mouse pointer on the bottom right. In this case, you'll notice the icon appears there to indicate you're ready to change the selection. I can then click and drag, and in this case maybe reduce the number of cells in the calculation, or again click and drag to increase the number of cells included. You can also drag from the top right or even top left. Basically, whenever you see one of these small boxes, which are called drag handles, you can click and drag to change the selection. And when you're happy with your changes, you can either click on that tick again or press the enter key, and that will update the calculation. Next, I'll create the first average function, so let's come back to cell B13 in this case. So again, first of all, I'll type out the function long form. Now, as soon as I start to type, you'll notice that Excel again is having a guess at what I'm trying to create there. This time I'll let Excel help me by clicking on the suggestion there, average, and you notice that Excel will put in the function name for me and also the opening and closing parentheses. So again, I can click and drag this time to select the range, and once I've got the selection, click on the tick to accept that, and you'll see the result in the cell. And again, the formula bar shows me the full function with the range included. I'm going to use a different method again to create the function for cell C13, the second average function. So let's just click into that cell, and this time I'm going to go to the Formulas tab. So click on Formulas in the toolbar area, and you'll see the Formulas toolbar or the function library appear, as you can see by the label. And you'll see over on the left hand side we have this Insert Function button. We also have the Autosum button here, so you might prefer to use this version instead of the one on the Home tab. They both do the same thing. And you'll notice there's a small drop down arrow next to the Autosum button. If I click on that, you'll see not only is sum there, but we also have average, count, max and min, which also happen to be in my list of functions which we'll be creating later. So for now I'm going to click on the average option. And as with clicking the Autosum button, what Excel will do is it will put the name of the function in there and also have a guess as to what it thinks you want to be averaged. In this case, it's only put one cell into my function, which again is not exactly what I wanted. So all I need to do again is simply reselect the correct range, which in this case is C4 down to C10. Once I have the correct range, just double check it's right and then click on the tick to accept. So let's come to cell D13 for my final average function, and again I'm going to use the options on the Formulas tab, but this time I'm going to use the Insert Function button. Now you'll notice it also appears on the left hand side of the formula bar, and I'll be using that also later on, but just for now let's click on the large FX button there and we'll see what happens. Over on the right hand side of the Excel window you'll notice something's appeared, something called Formula Builder, and I'm going to click and drag that window so it's closer to my spreadsheet. That's something that's useful, makes things a bit easier to work with. Now on Formula Builder, the first list you see is the most recently used, and obviously average is at the top of that list because it's the last one that I did use. But again, you'll also notice some of the other common functions, sum, count, max and min, and some others that we'll be looking at later on in this series of videos. But for now, all I need to do is just make sure we have average selected by clicking on it. And then at the bottom there, click on Insert Function. By the way, before I do that, just note that there is also a description of the function that you might find useful. But all I'm going to do for now is click on Insert Function. As with the previous method where we inserted the average function automatically, Excel has made a guess about what it thinks should be included in the function. And again, it's just guessed a single cell, which obviously is incorrect. So all I need to do here again, as with the Autosum and the average function, is simply to click and drag the correct range of values. And as I do that, you'll see in the Formula Builder that range appears in the number 1 box. Now there's also a number 2 box. So if I wanted to include a second range of values, I could do that by clicking into the number 2 box and then selecting a different range. I don't want to do that, so I will ignore that for now. But just to let you know that you can either remove these additional boxes by clicking on the minus symbol just to the left there, or you can add additional boxes by clicking on the plus symbol, and that will add additional numbers for your function should you need those. You'll also note, by the way, that you can see a preview of the result in the formula builder, should that be useful. But I'm just going to click on the Done button here, and when I do that, you'll see the result now goes into the cell. You'll notice the formula builder remains open, so you could continue to use that, but I'm going to click on the Close button to remove the formula builder for now. Let's go on and complete the functions for max, min and count. So if I click into the cell B14, and max, short for maximum, as you may have guessed, looks for the highest value in a selected range. And if you do a quick visual check of the list above, you can see that 2.5 or £2.50 is the high value there. And to create this function, I'm simply going to type it out again. So equals max, and then open parentheses or brackets, and then select the range of cells I want to include in the function, and then close the bracket and simply click on the tick again to say OK. And there's the result 2.5, which is correct. I'm not going to complete the max function for columns C and D just now. I'll show you another way I'm going to complete those cells. So instead I'm going to come down to the first cell for the min function, B15, and min, short for minimum, is simply the opposite of max, and this will find the lowest value in the selected range. And to complete this function, I'm again going to go to the Formulas tab, click on the drop down arrow next to Autosum, and choose from the common list of functions the min function there. And as you can see, again, Excel has had a guess as to what it thinks I might want included in the function. If it guesses wrong, it doesn't matter. You simply reselect the correct range of values. And again, I'll just click on that tick to accept the result. And again, we get the lowest value that you can see there, £1.75, is the correct result. And finally, I'm going to complete the first count function, and count simply counts the numbers within a selected range. And to complete this function, I'm going to use the formula builder again, and to do that I'm actually going to go to the left side of the formula bar and click the insert function, the FX button. You'll see there, if I click on that, the formula builder window opens. I'm going to drag that window over to the left of the screen so you can see it a bit more clearly. You'll see count is already in the list there, so I'm simply going to select that and click insert function. Again, Excel has had a guess as to what it thinks I might want included in the function, but as often happens, Excel hasn't quite got it right, so I need to reselect the range again. So simply click and drag from B4 down to B10, and then click the Done button. And you can see the result in the cell. I'm going to close the Formula Builder window, just click on the Close button there. And to complete the spreadsheet, I'm going to select the three cells B14 down to B16 and put the mouse at the bottom of that selected range. And when I get the black cross again, just click and drag across to column D. And when you can see the boundary box surrounding the range there. Release the mouse button. The cells are now populated with the function results. And as I said before, when you copy calculations across, Excel will automatically update the formulas to reflect the new row or column. In this case, I'm copying across columns. So for example, if I click into cell C14 there, the max function, you'll see the formula bar reflects the fact that we're now calculating on column C. And again, when that function was copied to column D, you'll see the formula bar shows the range D4 to D10. So that's an important thing that Excel does for you automatically as you copy functions or calculations. The cell references update to reflect the new row or column. That concludes this first look at functions in Excel. I hope you found that useful and you can apply some of the things you've learnt here to the spreadsheets that you're working on. In the next tutorial, we're going to start looking at formatting numbers in Excel. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.